perspective, and also this entry barrier was really annoying for everyone. And we just tried to tackle these two together. So with pools to reduce the entry barrier, and the staking dashboard that's kind of they got like squeezed, they got grouped together into one release package last week, hopefully fixing the two problems. But yeah, the unfortunate consequence was that some things like the commission for pool or governance participation or using vested funds in pools, these things got pushed to the side in the short term. Now, but the good news I can say is that I'm pretty confident. Actually, I'm 100% confident. There's no technical barrier to enabling this. Like, there's nothing. Well, I mean, that's a pretty general statement. Almost anything is possible if you sort of like have infinite coding or engineering capacity. But without a crazy amount of engineering, enabling participation in pools is actually possible. I haven't done extensive prototyping on it yet. I think that's something that I would like to do in the next few weeks, and then maybe delegate task for sort of someone else to do, or even open an issue on GitHub and let someone from the community take a stab at it. Something that I want to mention now, sort of as a side note, is that we've had multiple non-negligible features or PRs that were added to nomination pools from developers from the community that are not parity. And I think this is wonderful to see. Like, I'm so happy that I'm encountering this. I think some of the people who've contributed to nomination pools during the development are already in the Polkadot fellowship as well. And yeah, these are people that I haven't met. I don't know their name, but we work on GitHub and build Polkadot together. I think this is like a excellent collaboration opportunity or situation as well. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic. Governance participation in pools will come not too long in the future. I would personally try and spend some time for prototyping on it in the next few weeks, and either I'll just do it or I will sort of outline the steps needed for it, and someone will pick it up rather soon. There is a question about it though, which, if it's a good time, should I pose a question? Surely answer. Yeah, so I see we have some questions from the other side as well. So let me first pose the question that I want to have, so people watching in can also think about this and maybe let us know what they think through the chat. There's generally two possible ways to enable governance participation through pools, and I believe both of them are technically possible. We might as well just, at the implementation layer, and from like a purely engineering perspective, enable both. But it's a question of which one do we want to adopt in Polkadot, or which one do we want to embrace to be used. Okay. One is that you, while joining a pool, you optionally state that I would like to delegate my governance interests or participation to the pool operator as well. Or currently pools have a few roles, like who can change the pool nomination, who can change the state of the pool. Maybe we can add a new pool called like governance something, and then whoever is this role in the pool can use your funds and vote with it, basically have a delegation. Alternatively, we can just let you, like, we can also just let pool members use the funds for governance participation as well. The limitation of this would be that we probably wouldn't be able to do conviction voting if we do that, at least in the easy implementation thing, right? Because with conviction voting, we need to put this long lock on your balance, and for technical reasons that I don't want to get into right now, because I can maybe explain in a very high level way, because when 100 people are part of the same pool, all of their balances are dumped into one account. So it's just one account that's kept on chain and holds the balance of all the 100 members. And if one of them wants to vote with conviction 2x and one of them with conviction 4x, we can't have multiple locks on the same account. Something along those lines. So basically, TLDR, we have two options. Either you join a pool and you delegate to the pool operator in some way, or you join a pool, but you can still use your funds yourself, maybe with the limitation of not being able to do conviction. I think option 2 is probably more priority to be had. It's also, I think, better. I mean, it's probably maybe a controversial opinion, but I think accumulating too much, or I think we should first enable individuals to be able to participate, and then the option to accumulate power in one person, let that person be your representative. But yeah, in the midterm, I think these are the two options, and we might as well enable both. And as a pool member, once you join, you choose. Either you control your funds for governance without conviction, or you give them to the pool operator and they can do whatever they want with it for the purpose of governance.
Super interesting. So I want our guests to pop up and ask any questions or make any comments, but I will say Tom in the chat here says applications pointing their users to their own pool could allow those applications to quickly gain large amounts of voting. And that's something that was really, just what you said was really toying in my mind about kind of this new idea of like voting blocks happening with these nomination pools. What does anybody else in the chat think here?
I think the second option about so people who nominate to your pool and not necessarily wanting to delegate to you for governance. I'm like a nominator for one of the pools, for the Chaos style pool, and I think option number 2 is what people will use the most.
Yeah. It's what we should start with, and then again, like I'm also thinking about this. Maybe 50% of my mind thinks about what's good for Polkadot. The other half is thinking about what's good for Substrate as a generic blockchain framework. So we might as well provide both, but only enable one, or something like that.
Which one's good for Polkadot?
I think we would at least. Oh, I kind of told my opinion already. Sorry if I'm jumping back in. I think that the latter option probably. Yeah. But I'm curious to know what others also.
Interesting. Anton, you had some questions?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken, for the explanation. It's really a great topic and really great achievement for the ecosystem. I have 2 questions about the pools. So pool participants right now, they need to claim rewards by themselves, right?
Yeah.
All right. And the second question would be that, do you think that the amount of the pools that we will increase in the further, right, from 64 to like another number, that will actually result in minimal amount of DOT to be staked and earn rewards to be increased, right? Making those existing nominators who are like staking as nominators, right, kind of dropping off from the staking. So is that possible or not? Because that was kind of our thoughts about it.
So I'll first address the second one. It's totally possible. I think it's actually what's going to happen. I think that's already what has happened so far. I think since we launched Pool, the threshold, the dynamic threshold to be an active nominator has increased. But I think it's not a bad thing. It's basically like there is now more active nominators in the system altogether, because there's now 64 pools that each of them are bringing, like a few hundred or a few thousand dots to the table. So if they become active, some other people get kicked out. I think it's actually a good system to turn some of the lower stake nominators and push them to join the pool. There would be a period where, there would always be maybe some, let's say, unless if we have, less nominators than we actually can support. So let's say we have 15,000 nominators, so all of them are sort of active. Unless if we're at that state, there's always going to be some group of nominators who are close to the threshold, might surpass them, and then it's kind of, it's an unfortunate situation for them. But I think as a whole for the system, this is actually good. But there's nothing wrong with that limit being increased, because now those nominators might as well come and join the pool anyway. So I think I want to add that one of our goals is to really reduce the number of nominators, direct nominators, at least in the short term. Or I think it's a reasonable thing to be done, because every pool is essentially like an opinion. And if a pool already exists that represents your opinion, you would have an easier time yourself, and you would be doing the system a favor if you would join via that pool. Of course, I think for example, the governance participation thing should be solved before we see too much stake being in the system through pools. At the moment, when I see the number of dots staked through pool increase, I'm kind of like happy, being like, yay, people are using it. But at the same time, like, no, there's more dots. There's more dots now that's not usable for governance. So yeah, that's about the threshold. Did I address your question? Should I go to the other one?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only one comment that I wanted to give is that it also gets a little bit more interesting, I think, because now we have a pool owners who can decide to which validators this group of people will be nominated to, right?
Yeah.
So it creates like a game now, because we can see that there are 64 pools right now from different entities, right? And they will now be deciding which validators to pick for the whole pool.
Yep, indeed. I hope over time we actually provide facilities where we can have many more pools, and maybe even pools that don't have an owner at the same time. They don't have an initial deposit as well, so they're kind of like stateless pools. And they would also, of course, be zero commission, like unmanaged. The current pool system is completely managed. Someone is managing it, unless if they explicitly destroy the pool, the roles that manage the pool. Then that pool becomes kind of like, it's there forever and it's never going to change. I hope in the long term we can see both, but yeah, I think in the short term this managed model works well, and it would definitely bring some show different, let's say, different opinions being manifested or being shown by community members. Okay, so also you had a note about rewards, which I would quickly address. Yes, the rewards need to be claimed manually by the pool member themselves. Again, there's actually a PR, or there will be a PR probably from one of these community contributors who's helping us with pools, to add the feature where you can optionally state that my pool operator can compound my rewards on my behalf. That's all they can do. I think this is the extent that we can do, or it's reasonable. Anything beyond this is actually not really sensible. Most notably because pools are there to be used by everyone, and by everyone we should also take into account those that have few dots only. And the amount of reward that is accumulated for staking 10 dots is so little that if maybe if you claim it every day, it doesn't even cover the transaction fee. Or if you send it to an account that is not alive, it actually doesn't trigger that account to exist. So it's kind of just like poofs into thin air. So it goes nowhere. So if we actually allow ways that your rewards can be claimed automatically or permissionlessly, I think we're inevitably going to enable some griefings in some way where someone can annoy others and whatnot. So I'm pretty confident that the existing model is as good as it's how it makes the most sense, except for the compounding thing. So the compounding thing makes sense. So a pool operator can say, hey, if you join my pool, I will pay the transaction fee to auto compound everyone's rewards every week, and you don't need to do it yourself. And that's like an extra selling point.
Cool. Hey guys, I wanted to add, I was thinking about that first situation where the stake is delegated to the pool owner, and I thought maybe an interesting result from that happening would be, because right now we have like governance is like consensus is formed across the entire network all at once, and it can be like really loud and big, and it's hard to get all the information. But if you have like a group of people nominating a single pool, you could have you have an opportunity for consensus just among those nominators, and then they kind of vote as a solid pool. It's maybe an interesting result of having that feature as well.
Yeah, I can add maybe a similar but interesting scenario as well. Depending on how the pool is structured, it's actually not bad to allow this. So imagine a pool who is completely managed by a smart contract that's actually a DAO that's kind of constitutes a member of that pool. In that case, actually makes perfect sense for all the funds in the pool to be managed by the operator of the pool, because the operator of that pool is actually a DAO formed by all the people. So it kind of all makes sense. again, I think that that's actually more reason to implement both. But when you join a pool, you kind of choose if you want to keep those funds to yourself or give them to the pool operator.
Very, very cool. Okay, anybody else have any ideas before we move on here? Kian, what do you want to leave us with?
Go join a pool today, or as I said, I think this is a good milestone, but rest assured there's going to be more features to come, and these features are things that are absolutely necessary for this pools and generally Polkadot staking ecosystem to be healthy and good, and we're working on them and looking forward to hear more and more feedback and comments from the rest of you as well.
Okay, what's the website people can go to, Kian, to do this?
Sorry, go again?
What's the website people can go to stake in pools?
Polkadot.network/staking. That's the new landing page of everything related to staking. And there you have links to wikis, tutorials, guides. The staking dashboard is also linked there. I believe the domain for staking dashboard is staking.polkadot.network or polkadot.network/staking/dashboard. One of these two. Anyway, it's linked in multiple places, but the official landing page of staking is polkadot.network/staking. That's the everything staking related page.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show and filling us in on all that. Very exciting stuff.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We're going to move on now to the state of the treasuries. Oh boy, we have some good news today because we are up. Things are looking good for the Kusama and the Polkadot Treasury. Kusama Treasury sitting at $17.76 million. By this time next week, we're going to burn about 32,000. We're going to spend about 65,000, but inflation is going to bring us another $436,000 worth of KSM, netting us another $340,000 by this time next week on the Kusama Treasury. Over on the Polkadot Treasury, sitting at $245.9 million worth of DOT, not burning anything this week, so far not spending anything, but we will gain an extra $3.6 million worth of DOT in inflation. That's bringing both our treasuries to a grand total of $263.67 million worth of assets. And by this time next week, we'll have about an extra $4 million worth of assets on top of that. Moving on to the councils, didn't really see anything happening in the Kusama or the Polkadot councils this week. So we'll just move right on to referenda. Now, the first one that we want to talk about this week is something that just passed. Just passed us by, but did not pass at all. This is the Fearless versus Soramitsu. That's what I'm calling it. That's not the official name. Funding proposal. And we have a couple of the Nova guys up here. Oh, did I say Sora versus Soramitsu? No, I meant Nova versus Soramitsu. Maybe it's a bit of a shadow boxing match. I don't know. Right, another one-sided take from the guys at Nova. Welcome to the show, and how are you guys feeling about the results of this this referendum?
Yeah, what a week, I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like Fearless versus Nova referendum, right?
My bad.
Yeah, and definitely not Sora versus Fearless. But yeah, it was an interesting example of how governance will work because we actually got the community involved, right? So we saw that basically a proposer started to involve more people, right? More people from the community for the voting, which is really good, right? So, and part of the governance too is actually to involve more community members for shaping the network, right? So yeah, that was a really interesting example to see, like, kind of a teaser of what we will have in the governance too soon on Kusama, right? That being said, the governance will work a bit differently, right? So something like voting sniping will no longer work, right? So you have to have your I or approved status to be at least like 3 hours, or it depends really on track, right? But yeah, but still, that proposal was kind of interesting one, and the referendum. There was lots of discussions, right, on the Polka assembly and other communication channels. There are lots of steam and arguments. So I don't think that I would like to discuss it on this call, but yeah, it was an experience, I would say.
Yeah, no doubt. And Rotten Tomatoes pointing out, yeah, I'm just speaking colloquially here. Of course, this was just about the Soromitsu desktop extension. But what I found interesting here on PokeAssembly, we can see that, this gives us, like I said last week, kind of the raw KSM that was used. And what I found here, what was interesting was that the nay side had 3x conviction on average. The I side only had 2x conviction on average, and there was 50% more KSM for the nay side. The nay side came out strong, and it was a bit of a snipe too, because when I went to bed last night, I think it was passing, and then we kind of had a heavy-handed finish here. So that's the results there. It'll be interesting to see what this team does when we get into governance too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, moving right along here. Oh, a very non-controversial referendum. This one's to open an HRMP channel between StateMine and Kintsugi. How's the panel feeling about Kintsugi these days?
I'd said the only thing that these previous HRMP channel requests with StateMine have had wrong with them, like Robonomics and Picasso, had the same problem where it was like the weights of the transactions were wrong. But we've been assured that the Kintsugi one, they've got it correct. So I think it's only a good thing.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I absolutely love Kintsugi.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite usable things happening on .sama right now. Likely this to go through. They started this with their own community just a month ago, and here on Subsquare you can see all of the Kintsugi governance action as well, if you just click in the top left corner. All right, moving on to Polkadot referenda. We have nothing new here, so we're just going to pop right over to motions. Now, motions are when the council acts as the token holders. They make decisions for the token holders. And this week we have the proof of chaos motion is up for vote. So we talked about this a bit last week. I don't know if Gabe is in the chat today, but he was saying that he wanted to come up here. He's definitely welcome to come up here. Yeah, I don't know. Does our panel have anything to say about this, seemingly awesome project?
Just to fill the silence, I will say I am completely ignorant of said proposal. But I'm sure I'll read up on it. And just to also say that everything that has been shared so far has been extremely, illuminating for me personally. And just to kind of chime in and say something about, because I didn't realize that Kim was going to drop off the call. When I started investing in DOT in the summer of 2020, and I first went to the Polkadot.js website, I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Because I was like a MetaMask guy and had no clue. And watched many great videos by Bill Laboon and some of the early educators when they were still with Web3 doing the education stuff. And honestly, I want to give a personal shout out to the Chief Nice Officer right over here, Limo, because he's been really instrumental in helping me grow my own JS comfortability, especially getting involved with GM. He has me doing batch calls and mass minting GMs and GNs and burning friend. And none of this would have happened, none of this technical sophistication if it weren't for Limo. So if nothing else, I just wanted to chime in and say that.
All right, yeah, thanks so much. I mean, Polkadot.js holds a special place in my heart. The Kusama wouldn't exist if Polkadot.js was easy to use. That's for sure.
Your early videos helped a lot, Jay, too, because I only knew of Polkadot, didn't understand the whole Kusama thing until I got involved with the Chaos DAO guys. So nice. Your early videos were also instrumental, so I can't thank you enough, too.
All right. Thanks.
What the back?
Thanks for the love, man. Hey, Anton, since we're a little off track here, Rotten Tomatoes asking if you can tell everybody where you got the KSM to snipe the proposal. You want to answer that?
Yeah. I mean, my first KSM, I think, were received as a treasury tips, actually like 3 years ago, maybe even more, right? Because in the like first time when I was starting to learn the Polkadot, right, I was trying to help other newcomers, like who been asking about like how to stake Dot or how to stake Kusama, and yeah, exactly. So I was also watching the Bill Laboon videos. So yeah, I think everybody did, right, at that time. So I received like I think 3 or 4 tips from the Kusama Treasury for just providing a support, like a constant support in its Telegram and other communities. So yeah, and just yeah, I think within the time I accumulated some more Kusamas because I like the crowd loans, couple of them on Kusama, right? And just recently, I think we started to get like lots of the Kusama unlocked from the crowd loans. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you got the KSM to snipe that referendum? That's good, man.
I mean,
That's
we
great.
also voted from the company's account. I mean, both parties, I mean, not saying both, but several entities actually. If you take a look on the voting results, there were several companies actually voted on the proposal. So including like Soromitsu and Noah Foundation and others, right? So we also did vote from the company account.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for answering that. So just to get back on track here with the proof of chaos, they're going to be using $64,000 worth of KSM to add the second version of this quizzes feature. This is to kind of prevent people from just follow voting and kind of gumming up the governance. The other features, they want to build an NFT page, and then they also want to have kind of a leaderboard, make it a bit of a competition collecting these NFTs. So that's going through governance right now. And
the quiz is a really good idea.
What's that? The quiz, yeah.
The quiz is because we said last week, the NFTs are really good for getting actual participation because it incentivizes people in a way that's maybe not directly tied to monetary value.
Yeah.
But if like a proposal is passing by a lot, for example, people will just vote yes, right? Yeah. Or actually people will vote no with low conviction so that when it passes, they don't have the KSM locked, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Which happens. So it's good to have a quiz at least, just so people have to do a little bit of homework. I think it's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, no doubt. And just so the people at home understand what's going on here, this was a spend proposal, and then Councillor Raoul proposed it as a motion, and he proposed it specifically as a motion to pass, to spend. So this sort of motion needs 12 of the council members to vote aye, and right now it's at 5 out of 12. So we can expect that to go through and that to come off the Treasury by this time next week. Moving on here. Oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. So we've been kind of missing something on this show. This is on-chain Treasury proposals. So this is another enclave of governance where people have staked tokens on-chain. They've put tokens at risk in order to put a spend proposal forward. These are awaiting a council member, just like Raoul, to put it up for a motion. And that's what's happening on this page here. So the first one we wanted to talk about was Kusama. This is a really cool UI. Oh, hey, what the hell is going on here? Stupid. This is a really cool UI that will allow people to mint NFT 2.0s on the Remark standard. Which I guess is a little bit tricky right now. It'll also allow people to set up a snapshot of their community. And the final feature as part of this proposal would be to put together a sales bot. It's a sales bot generator, I guess, for Twitter and Telegram, which is a pretty essential tool for building up an NFT community right now. This team wants to put this all together for $48,800 worth of KSM.
I think that's really good.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, eh?
Yeah, Remark 2.0 NFTs from the NFT people that I know. As just an artist on your own, you cannot really use Remark 2.0. You need to outsource your tech side to somebody like Sage from Tricky NFTs. So anything that kind of maybe lowers that barrier to entry for new people to our ecosystem, I think is worth spending $48,000 on, right? In my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. It seems like it seems like a tool we'd all use. I do have a question though. Like, what do you guys think about? I mean, they're just catering to the one NFT standard. It seems to be the most popular, but what do you guys think about that going to the Kusama Treasury for something specific like that?
Honestly, my biggest reservation, Jay, I mean, I completely concur with what Limo said. I mean, it is a huge barrier for somebody who wants to do NFTs with the equipables and everything else, because the technical sophistication that is required on the part of many people who are just artists and creators is really a high barrier to entry. So I like it for that reason. I guess my bigger concern would be, and I don't think it's it's cost prohibitive or anything like that, but my bigger concern is that we're right on the verge of shipping Remark 3.0. If that's going to be the new thing, I mean, I don't, again, know the technical side of 3.0, if that's actually just integrating the 2.0 previous standards that still allows equipables and everything else, but can take it to EVM-based chains. Again, I don't know that part of it. So that would be my only concern. Like, is that going to impact, like, are we putting money into something that is going to be tech that is quickly supplanted by the 3.0 standard, and then it's going to require another investment on the part of, these parties to create something that allows it to do the 3.0 version? That would be my only concern.
That's a super interesting point. Yeah, if anybody can find anything about that in the proposal, that and everything else we're talking about today is linked in the description below. I will say, though, that right now in the bear market, I think that NFT communities and NFT games are the stickiest communities where we can attract people to and get them to hang out and stick around and talk with people who understand what's going on. So I think anything that we can do to grow opportunities for that is great. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, this is, again, a spend proposal. No counselor has brought it to vote yet. It's just a spend proposal. This is for the production of Hindi videos. These are tutorial videos for .sama. This is a really awesome group called Describedot, and they were working in WagMedia for a while. They're producing really high-quality content. Let me see if I can play this without sound here. These are tutorials just walking people through. Sounds great. The screen records are really, really clean. They seem to be really popular among Hindi speakers, and they're asking for $58,760 to complete 45 more vids, which they lay out in the proposal. I think they're working with like a team of 8. So yeah, that's what's going on there. Okay, over on Polkadot, a couple motions. Oh yeah, so these people want $60,000 to activate the developer community in Turkey. These guys, this is them here, Patika.dev. They came around in March of 2022, and they claim to have 120,000 developers using their educational material already, and they're growing at 10% month over month. And also, they're already supporting the Near, the Ethereum, and the Harmony ecosystems, so they want to add Substrate to the mix. And that's what they want to do with $60,000 worth of DOT. And the other one here is, this is a Chinese organization, Polkadot Ecology Research Institute. They want $104,760 to, they basically do content and digital events. That's what's going on here. All right, just checking in with the panel here. How's everybody doing? What are you guys thinking?
I think
I just want to chime in on the Hindi thing real quick.
Yes.
I'm very much for that, because as a former geography teacher, I just thinking demographically here, right? India is, so huge. It's just behind China. There's a massive amount of people there. And I think what's really interesting in the developing nations in particular is where we're seeing crypto adoption like really pick up, because you're doing all the wonderful things that all of us as sort of the cypherpunk mentality of disintermediation is really big, right? And people think about people who are in the hinterlands, for instance, where they have just a cell phone. They could be using Nova Wallet. They could be interacting mobilely to do stuff with crypto, and having something that reaches out to that audience that's speaking their language quite literally, and just allowing them to kind of learn about what's happening in crypto and in Polkadot in particular in our ecosystem, I think is amazing. I know that we have some inroads in Africa with some of our community members too. And but seeing this happen in developing countries, I think, is really, really encouraging, because they're going to leapfrog a lot. You see it throughout history where, Western societies kind of progress along more of a linear scale, but then you have these hops and leaps in the developing world because it just, there are way more people with mobile phones than there are with televisions, for instance. So that, I think, is really encouraging. And just knowing that you have people who are out there learning more about the ecosystem, I think really bodes well for the future. And it's very bright for Polkadot.
Completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a big point of the of what we're trying to do at WagMedia. What surprised me when I was researching is that only 20% of people on Earth speak English, like, at all, and the other 80% they don't know, or maybe they know a few words. But something as complex as Polkadot, we definitely want multiple sources of information for people to kind of like put together a bigger picture. And to your point there, Funky, I mean, when you think about a subcontinent like India, like, do we want those people building and working on our chain or no? I think it's definitely worth an investment, and these guys are asking for, I think, under $60,000 it was to get that going.
I think paying for good sources of information that is, like, guaranteed to be correct and not misleading as well is a good use of funds, like, very good use of funds.
Yeah, good point. We just talked about a Turkish proposal in here as well, and there's a Turkish fellow in WagMedia who spoke about how, there was only like 2 or 3 influencers that were really making content in Turkey, and they were giving like bad information that people kind of followed right off a cliff, and that's a huge danger as well, just turning people off. Polkadot, crypto in general, that's a huge danger for sure. All right, let's see what else we got here. We're really moving along. Oh, we're on to the Polkadot on-chain Treasury proposal. So again, these aren't up for vote. And somebody had a question in the chat here. I mean, if Raul was here, he had to take the day off. He'd be able to answer this probably more accurately. I don't know what the lifetime of a spend proposal is once it's proposed. I don't know if it ever comes down, or maybe if it comes down in a year or something. But depending on which relay chain it's on, that will tell you how long until the money is delivered. So my experience is on Polkadot. I think once a counselor puts it up to motion, I think there's like 5 to 7 days where council members can vote on it. And then that gets paid out at the end of the next spend period. So a spend period is, I think 6 or 7 days on Kusama. So like, let's say this proposal was approved by 12 council members on day 2. Then by the time it gets to day 6 or 7, it will get paid out automatically. So that's what happens there. And on Polkadot, let's just assume it's 4 times longer all around. But once we have Raul on here next week, we'll definitely ask him about that. So spend proposals. This is a cool one on Polkadot, the PolkaSwag shop. Took me a while to like wrap my head around this. I thought like, so it's put together by this person, Sanath Lingam, and they claim to have a lot of experience in e-commerce. They're looking for, what is it here? Just $25,360 to put together a swag shop specifically for Polkadot, and they're using some comments by Dan Reeser and Peter here, an exchange that Dan Reeser and Peter had about the need for this on Twitter. It's kind of interesting because Otar, who helps out Raul, he was saying like, hey, like, how is this different than the D-Store project that was just approved for funding in Kusama? And I thought it was interesting that Otar was commenting here, because usually like Otar is on top of everything, so it kind of seems like maybe this was submitted without kind of putting it through council. But what came out is that they actually proposed this 2 months ago and had conversations, they claim, with the Web3 Foundation, which kind of shaped the current proposal now. So this is a spend proposal for a swag shop. Again, that's $25,000 to get the PolkaSwag online. Apparently high quality stuff, environmentally friendly, all the buzzwords. But yeah, that's Polkadot swag shop. Guys, would you guys have any experience putting Polkadot swag out in the world?
There's quite a few people trying to do a similar thing. Like you said, there's already 2 proposals, one passed and then this one. I I think obviously, like you said, you've got to focus on high quality, sustainable merchandise, but then also like do like some kind of profit share so that stuff goes back to the treasury and maybe pays off the initial money, maybe, for example. It could be interesting to discuss that.
Yeah, no doubt. Megan in the chat saying that they're going to have an AMA with Josiah from D-Store. That sounds pretty cool. And Dustin dropping that they're just wrapped up filming. I don't know what that's about. I will say one distinction between these two stores is that D-Store seems to be going for the Kusama brand, whereas this one seems to be going for Polkadot. All right, and that's it for motions and spend proposals, guys. We're going to move on finally over to discussions. It's been an action-packed show. And over here, back on Kusama, we're talking about some discussions going through. This is a discussion, oh God, it's the Sora Mitsu thing again. I think we're just going to move on from there. Oh, but this is very exciting. Lucky Friday, high performance, bare metal RPC nodes. We got Funky in the house specifically to address just this. Funky, what can you tell us? What the hell's going on? What is bare metal? And please, don't get us kicked off YouTube.
Okay, I again, full disclosure, I am not the technical guru. I can explain what's going on, and I will tell you that one of the things that made me just incredibly excited about joining the Lucky Friday team is that first and foremost, these guys are all Web3 enthusiasts. They have a long background in the tech space that goes back over 20 years. So they kind of are really interested in kind of making this pivot into crypto that started in 2021 at the beginning of the year. And one of our long-term ambitions is to support every single chain that is running in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem. So that's one of our big things. And I think, just using what we saw as, kind of the contrast last week, I'm sure we all saw the news about how Hetzner kind of closed down a bunch of Solana nodes that were running in their data centers, which is, I think, was almost 20% of the entire Solana network, because we know how centralized Solana is. And so, of course, being part of just Web3 enthusiasts, that means that we are big fans of decentralization and trying to ensure that we can do a lot to make sure that, chains are up and running and on time and everything else. So the little bit that I do know is that a bare metal server, these are all bespoke servers that are custom created for whatever chain needs to be optimized. So they will actually, we wholly own these servers. No one is renting out servers. These are in, I don't know how much I can share about the data centers, but these are co-located. So we have, redundancies built across the globe. Some of the places that we have servers just in the United States include Dallas, Atlanta, Washington, D.C. Around the globe, we also have servers in Amsterdam, Seoul, and Singapore, I believe. And so the mission really is to try and find places where we can have these servers running, and they can be something set up that is for each chain specifically. We often reach out to parachains when they're getting started up to see if they need any help doing collation, because obviously they're using collators. The thing that we're putting forward now for the Kusama relay chain is really just to run RPC nodes. I'm sure those of you who are familiar with JS, when you open up a chain, you see a list of how many RPC endpoints are allowed to connect to kind of communicate with the chain. Again, very limited technical understanding. I'm very proud to announce too that the team at GM, we have, I think, probably some of the most amount of RPC nodes on any chain in the entire ecosystem. And that's part of, I think, just because we're interested in helping teach people. So Lucky Friday really sees sort of a need, and we already have, I guess, several up and running. And so really this is just to kind of continue to build out that RPC infrastructure for the Kusama chain. And there's a detailed proposal that is attached to it that lays bare all of the technical, things that would happen, how the money is going to be spent, so on and so forth. So it's really exciting just to be part of this group. And again, I don't have a whole lot of technical understanding, but the base that I can explain is that the bare metal is, these servers are completely owned and operated by the Lucky Friday team. Those of you who are watching, you probably are aware of our chief technical officer, who is Will, from Paranodes, or Paradox from Paranodes. You guys all know Will. So he is one part of a very technical team that encompasses more people behind him. And then, of course, there are the others, the principal founders and then, me and David, aka KBL, who are on more of the Lucky Friday side. A lot of exciting things that are coming too. So, but that's kind of the quick rundown that I could give you. It's just, more than anything else, just Web3 enthusiasts who really want to enhance the mission of decentralizing just our chains, blockchain, and interoperability, wherever that may be. I think right now we're running on, I want to say 17 chains in the Polkadot ecosystem. Total, I think, is 20 or thereabouts. So we are doing some stuff running outside like ETH and whatnot, but we're definitely .sama centric, as it was put to me in one of my initial meetings. But just also looking into Cosmos and other things too, because of interoperability. We know where this is all going, but .sama is definitely like the centerpiece of what we're trying to help, support. And that's what I know that word is not supposed to be used anymore, the Polkadot ecosystem. So I guess I'll just leave it there. And you guys can, yes, please, if you get a chance, because we are trying to share that with as many people as we can. Limo jumped in on the discussion and he put a comment there. I know the discussion phase is very, very early in all this, but we were looking for feedback, and we would love any kind of feedback from the community, because we want to help continue to make Lucky Friday a known brand, a community brand in our ecosystem. And, there's a lot of other things that are going to be coming out very soon, including an NFT initiative that I'm super, super excited about. But I can't really say anything more than that, but I hope will blow a lot of people's minds, and it's very, very ambitious. And so excited for that, and a lot of things that you're going to see coming from Lucky Friday in the future. But hopefully you guys get a chance. And anybody who's watching, maybe if Jay, you could put the link down to the discussion, just so that way people, I know you said everything's going to be linked, so it's probably going to be there anyhow.
Yep.
Just so people can chime in and just, even if they want to give a thumbs up, thumbs down, something, we'll take any feedback that we can get. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here today.
All right. Well, thanks very much for that rundown, Funky. I think they picked the right guy. And for this particular project, it's $11,200 to set up these bare metal nodes to get some RPC nodes off of kind of corporate controlled cloud servers and put it on Lucky Friday good guy servers, I guess is the idea. Is that right?
I like it. I like the good guy servers. Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, rad, dude. Thanks very much for that. Oh, Limo, you did comment here. Did you want to add anything to that?
A lot of RPC nodes and collator nodes especially run on OVH or Hetzner nodes. Like, it's probably something stupid like 75% of them. So it's really good to host them on bare metal, especially for Kusama or Polkadot RPC nodes. The team is very technically competent. The proposal is very well written, so good job to whoever wrote the proposal.
Super well written.
And public RPC endpoints are going to be, will just remain to be a key part of the infrastructure. Obviously, we're transitioning towards light clients in the future, but there's problems with light clients when they change small dot and then it just stops working. So for this distant future, these RPC endpoints will continue to be required infrastructure. So it's a good proposal, and I think people should support it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Funky, for coming up here once again. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, and I hope you come back as often as you can.
I put this on my recurring calendar so everybody, the team knows I'm going to be here talking governance with you guys every week, because it's going to help me learn. And I really appreciate the opportunity that you gave me and just reaching out, Jay. So thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, man. Absolute pleasure to have you here. And I think you got it at the right time, because Governance 2, it is coming. I guess we're not going to talk about that today. So let's just move on here. We have something I don't know anything about, but let me tell you, it is a 3 months funding for a Substrate API client. They're asking for $80,000 for that. Anton, you got any idea what the hell's going on here? Nope, that's a no. Okay, cool. What else do we have here? I thought this was interesting. So remember, we had Encointer on the show last week, I think it was, and they had asked for like $350,000 for funding, but that was actually only up until until the end of October. So they're back with part 2, asking for another $250,000 to fulfill their mission of creating locally generated in-person currencies. It's interesting. So by splitting it into 2 proposals, they did avoid the $500,000 cutoff point where it automatically goes to a 50-50 referendum, like 50-50 vote referendum. So this is going to be put up, or we'll have to see if this is put up just to a motion where the council votes, or if it's put up to the token holders to vote. But I kind of think that the council is just going to vote on that. We'll see what happens. And discussions over on Polkadot. We just have the one discussion today. Oh no, we have a couple. Don't listen to me. We have a couple. This is the Polka World, which is a Chinese organization. I think they've been around since the early days, and they're looking for $80,385 to fund 3 months of their content creation, and they also run a lot of online events. I also think they have a council member on Kusama at least. I got to meet a member of their team, Chin Wen, in New York, and she was super lovely. But this is the Polka World. I think they're making a big impact in China, and yeah. What I also thought was interesting about this is like they call it a social contract. So this kind of seems like it's an ongoing relationship between the Treasury, the Polkadot Treasury, and Polka World here, and yeah. So I guess they ask for funding regularly. It's kind of interesting to wonder what will happen once Governance 2 comes, but this is Polkadot, so I think they're probably safe with this arrangement for a time yet. Maybe I'll just throw it to the panel there real quick while I try to discover where the remaining tabs are for the rest of the show. How are you guys feeling about governance right now? I mean, we're talking about $1.2 million worth of spending today. You think it's enough? You think it's too little? What do you think?
You mean Treasury or?
Yeah, both treasuries combined.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Raul once mentioned that it would be really interesting to see like a long-term projects. Like I really enjoyed reading the Lucky Friday proposal because how well it's structured, right? The goal is, I mean, pretty much clear. And as Limo mentioned, even though like the state of the art is lifelines, right? But we are not yet there. Like, yeah, I mean, as a wallet, I can tell you that there are still some limitations. Besides the fact that lifelines are amazing, but still, so if there is a great value coming from the large proposals, that what would be really showing the great use cases for the treasury. So some large proposals with a well-defined roadmap, with a huge value bringing to the ecosystem, that would be amazing to see, right? And it seems that Polkadot Treasury has funds for it, right?
Yeah, the Lucky Friday proposal was super mature, and the thing is, they're only asking for like $12,000 as well, and they're really setting standards for us here. All right, just pressing forward here, just a few more to get through. Polk Assembly, they're looking for 3-month funding for $76,380. We have this one block Chinese hackathon happening this winter. They're looking for $319,000 worth of DOT. But $280,000 of that is for prizes for the hackathon. So I thought that was a pretty unique and interesting proposal. We also have this Rust Syndicate, again, getting out of my depth here, but they're looking for $60,000 worth of DOT for a tool where people can check the functionality of a palette before and after runtime upgrades. I don't know, seems pretty useful. $60,000 to make the life of developers easier. Sounds good to me. I don't know if anybody's against that.
Just a little bit that I've seen behind the scenes so far, my first week of Lucky Friday, for how hard the guys who do all the tech side stuff, like where they are working through the night, checking runtime, looking for upgrades. Yes, if it's going to make their lives easier and they're going to get some more sleep, yes, I think that's a no-brainer.
How different is this from the centrifuge one that was, I think we spoke about it last week?
The fudge.
I mean, I don't know, but is it, fudge, that was it. I'd be interested to see how different it is, and maybe they could like collaborate somehow, maybe. Because I thought that achieved a similar thing at like a high level.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Look, could you please differentiate uptest from the centrifuge's fudge and substrate sim codes? And we have a reply here from FlipChan. This is not riveting.
As long as it's different.
Personally solve decouple problem. Files, super useful. They're saying it looks different, and nobody had anything else to say after it. Great question, Limo. Maybe if somebody in the audience can pick that apart and let us know what they think, that'd be good. But yeah, these are just discussions. So maybe Limo, we can have somebody on the show to help us tease that out next time.
Yeah.
Good question, man. All right, and then finally we have this. They're not asking for any money. They're just asking for a little bit of feedback on this newtodot.xyz. This is a website that has apparently 200 FAQs on it, and yeah, it looks like a pretty simple website. You can just search your questions here. Like, let's see, let's see, staking minimum. Let's see if anything comes up. Oh shit! Well, I got some feedback for them already. So what is this? Newtodot.xyz is looking for feedback, and I think he was in the chat. Ravi Kumar. I think he's the person behind this. So go check it out. It's linked down below, almost at the bottom of the description there, and also a link to their Poke Assembly post, so you can leave any feedback. Guys, it's been a really good show. We covered a lot. You know, even without Raul to hold our hands and to fill the spaces, I think we put on a pretty damn good show here. Maybe closing thoughts from around the room here. Let's start with you, Funky. How you feeling about governance now versus about 2 hours ago?
I know a little bit more, that's for sure. And so if nothing else, I just wanted to say thank you again for the opportunity to bring me on. And it's great to see some familiar faces and just chat with you guys about the bigger issues. And I look forward to next week and learning more.
Radical, man. It's good to have you on. Hope to see you again. Anton, do you get back to work here, or what's going on now?
No, I will just go straight to the bed.
All right. Well, thanks very much for coming up here, and Limo becoming a monument of this show. What do you have to tell us to close us out here?
Thanks for having me on again, and everybody go and give your feedback in the Lucky Friday proposal, or discussion, sorry. I think it's a really good discussion and should be supported.
Okay, awesome. And thank you, everybody, for joining the show today. We'll be back next week to talk about more governance, and hopefully Raul's back and we can check out where we are with Governance 2.0. I hear it's in the next runtime upgrade, so we'll have to see how that goes. Thanks, everybody, and have a great week.
So please welcome to this stage in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to Mr. Gavin Wood.
Cheers, Ursula. Thank you. Gracias, veramente. It's lovely to be here. First, a few thank yous. It's, Decoded, as I guess you all know, it's like a global event. There's a lot of different Decodeds going on. There's a lot of people that have worked very hard in the last few weeks to get this together. So I do want to do a few shouts. Jimmy and his team, thank you so much for, getting this over the finish line. Thank you to Alex, Marina, the AdLib guys for putting this great festival together. Thank you to all our ambassadors. I met a few of you in the last few days, but those that I haven't met, I extend my gratitude. Gracias a ustedes. para venir aquí. All right, good. So today I want to talk a little bit about what I've been working on for about the last year, actually. And I hope it will, sort of soon come to fruition. But I want to give a bit of an introduction